Hello fellow brawlers, I'm Karastime and it is time to brawl. It's also time to go over 3 ways that you can get Insane 16 on the newest special event, Super City Rampage. All 3 of these methods are easy to do if you know how they work, but I do absolutely recommend watching through this entire video so that you, first of all, save yourself some time, and second of all, don't mess up other people that are trying to do these methods. There are methods to do it with organized teammates or with randoms like I did, and you don't even have to have a max out Brawl Stars account to get Insane 16 very easily. Now, before we jump into this though, I wanted to give a huge thank you to CSR2 for sponsoring this video. Do you like cars? Do you like racing? Do you like mobile gaming? Then CSR2 is the game for you. CSR2 delivers thrilling drag racing to the palm of your hands. Compete against live players across the world with your custom-built supercar from Ferrari, McLaren, and many more. The level of detail in this game is absolutely beautiful, and it really makes it exciting to unlock your favorite cars and then customize them to look the way that you want. You can team up with friends to form a crew, optimize your ride to drive it the way that you want it to, and it's all free on iOS and Android. On top of that, the game is having an American road trip event that lasts from June 26th through August and September, where players can unlock community rewards. Every day is going to be a different story where you get to explore a car or location as a celebration of American car culture from coast to coast. Download the game using the link below so you don't miss it. And again, a huge thank you to CSR2 for sponsoring this video. Okay guys, let's start off by explaining the method that I use to get Insane 16, and then we'll move on to the lesser known methods that you can actually use if you don't have a maxed out bow. Quick disclaimer, there's a chance that Supercell might have patched this by the time you're actually watching this video, so of course you're gonna try all 3 to find out which one still works. For the first method, you need Bo with his Super Totem gadget and a Snare Bear star power. As far as I'm aware, this was actually discovered by Ash during a live stream soon after this mode was actually put into the game, so props to him. Also, he helped me record gameplay for the other 2 methods, so you guys should definitely check out his YouTube channel. Now, in order for you to get this method to work out, you need to get into the queue with 2 other bows that are also using their Super Totem gadget and a Snare Bear star power. You can't play with 3 bows normally, but if you jump into the queue around the same time as other bows, the game is more likely to put you up with duplicate brawlers. Now, when I tried this, I had to get to about Insane 5 before I started getting paired up with 2 other bows consistently, so the hardest part of this method is getting to Insane 5. In order for you to do that, I actually recommend the other 2 methods because after Insane 5, this method is by far the fastest, but the other 2 will save you a little bit of time trying to get up to that point in the first place. You can muscle your way through it playing bow though, just like I did, and after you get to Insane 5, you should be pairing up with other bows very consistently. Now, if you have some other friends that you want to do this with, you can actually coordinate when to jump into the queue at the same time, so there's a greater chance that the game will pair you up together. Now, for this method to work, all 3 of you need to go and drop your super totems right next to each other so that you can stand in one place and be within the range of all 3 totems. This only works because the super totems effects actually stack with other super totems. Now, from here, all 3 of you just need to spam your shots and your mines so that the boss is constantly stunned. Sometimes all 3 bows will drop their mines at the same time, so there's enough time for the boss to break free from the stun and kill your totems and your teammates. It's pretty hard to recover from that situation, but it is actually possible. But to avoid that, it's probably a good idea to check the pacing of your mines so that they are not being placed all at the same time so that the boss is always stunned instead. All you need to do from here is spam your attacks and your supers until eventually the boss dies. This is the fastest method to actually eat through the boss's health, and once you're at Insane 16, the boss has a ton of health, so this is the best way to do it, but it's pretty difficult to reach high enough with randoms to beat Insane 4 or Insane 5, where you are more likely to actually match up with other bows. Also, it does require your bow to be completely maxed out, which not everyone has, and on top of that, there are actually easier ways to reach Insane 16 where you don't have to rely on teammates either, but they do take a little bit more time. This next method works pretty easily and you can do it with teammates, but it does take the longest to do. For this method, either you or one of your teammates needs to be playing Gale with his Spring Ejector gadget. Now, this can work with randoms too, but they have to know how this works, so it's actually less likely to work. But if you see a Gale random teammate trying to make this work, it might actually save you some time and some frustration, which is why it's important for you to know how this one works. For this method, Gale needs to charge up their super as quickly as they can. You can't waste any time or shots if you want to charge up his super fast enough. Then you want to stand right behind the monster and aim Gale's super so that you'll blow the monster into these two buildings. As soon as it's at a 2x2 tile of buildings, fire off your super, and if you do it right, the boss will actually get stuck between them. This does take a bit of practice to get this just right, so if you don't get it right, you and your teammates can just die and then try again if you don't think that you can actually beat them the round normally. Now, if you are playing Bo and a Gale gets the boss stuck, it is very important that you do not dislodge the boss with your super or this won't work. Once the boss is actually stuck, you don't actually need to attack it at all. In fact, once the boss gets angry, he'll start targeting you instead of the buildings and just ruin this whole setup. So you want to go somewhere on the map where it is impossible for the boss to target you. To do that, Gale needs to place a spring so that all three of you can hide in this part of the map, this little corner that's blocked off by some buildings and this fence. When you're here, the monster cannot locate a pathway to get to you, and he'll be stuck there even after he enrages because it's actually further away than his minimum jump range. Now from here, all you need to do is just sit and wait until you've been in the match for 13 minutes and 14 seconds, which is the longest possible time that the game will allow you to be in a match. At that point, the match will end, and even though you have not destroyed the boss, you and your team will win. Now, if you go with this method, I recommend that your other two teammates be brawlers that cannot possibly jump over walls or break them so that they can actually go inactive and become bots. And then, of course, they're going to want to make sure that they come back in before the end of the match, or it might not actually count as a victory. Now, I think that at least one player has to remain active for the match to continue. I haven't tried all three players going inactive, but you might be able to get away with it. But that is only if you make sure that Gale uses his last gadget outside of the box area so that a bot doesn't just like drop the gadget and then let the bots escape. Now, this method takes the most time, but as long as your Gale can get the boss stuck correctly, it is by far the easiest method. If the Gale doesn't get the monster stuck and you have no chance of winning the round, just let the monster kill you and try again. Now, this last method can be easily done with randoms or with teammates, and you don't even need any maxed out brawlers to make it work, but it does take a little bit of skill, and you have to keep a couple of rules in mind. I recommend playing Colt for this method. He doesn't even have to be maxed. You don't have to have any gadgets. You don't have to have any star powers or anything like that. Just start out by charging up your super as quickly as you can, and then you need to get rid of these 5 buildings. If you get rid of any more buildings or the rope wall above it, this will not work. To do this as easily as possible, I recommend using one super to clear the bottom 4, and then a second super to clear that 5th tile building, and only that one. Now, once you're at this point, I don't actually understand why this works, but for whatever reason, once you destroy the buildings in this exact pattern, the monster won't be able to target the 3 remaining buildings. So the boss will attack the rest of the buildings like normal, but once the city has 4% remaining, the boss is just going to stand still unless he gets angry. And when he's angry, you and your teammates must stay alive until he gets enraged. If you don't stay alive and he kills you when he's angry, you're obviously just going to lose the match. But if you do survive until he gets enraged, all you have to do is keep your distance from the monster and he won't attack you. Now, I do have some good tips to helping your team stay alive, including one foolproof way to do this, because although this is pretty early, like from Insane 1 through like Insane 6 or so, it gets very hard to stay alive from the boss past that point. My biggest suggestion is to have Sandy or Leon on your team. When the boss gets angry, Sandy or Leon can drop their supers and go invisible so that the boss cannot find them for a certain period of time. This is going to buy you guys some time, and I think that Sandy's obviously better at keeping everyone alive, but Leon does much more damage overall, so you actually might be better off going with Leon since you're going to need to be able to take the monster out eventually. Sandy will work, but Leon will just help you take the monster out a little bit faster. You can also use jump pads and Max's super to try and stay alive as well. And basically you just need to split up and try and avoid the monster. But whatever you do, do not get close to those buildings in the upper left-hand corner, because if the monster does jump on you and happens to get rid of those buildings, then he's going to destroy the buildings in either way and you're just going to lose. Now, if you and your teammates reach a point where you don't think that you can survive the boss killing you because the boss just deals so much damage from Insane 10 and on, there is another option, but it will take a bit of waiting. Once this setup is done, get the boss close to 75%, but stop attacking it before you reach 75%, because 75% health is the first time that the boss gets angry and starts chasing you. A good safe place is like 77%, right? Next, just wait till the monster gets enraged, which will happen 2 minutes after the match started. And once he's enraged, he will no longer chase you and your teammates as long as you don't get too close. So then you can attack him from a safe distance. I think that the best comp for this is Colt, Leon, and then either like Max 8-Bet or Pam. This method is obviously going to take longer to beat Insane 16 than with the triple bow, but it does work very easily, especially if you have teammates who understand how it works. And if you get this set up right, you can do this with teammates or with randoms, as long as you guys stay alive. Now, many of you may consider actually using this method to get to Insane 5 or Insane 6, so that you can then almost guarantee that you're gonna be paired up with other bows. The reason why the bow method is actually the fastest is because of the insane damage that comes with Bow's mines, especially when you have 3 Bow's mines landing on that boss, and being able to use those mines so frequently due to the 3 super totems, and that means that basically your team is just gonna melt through the boss's health. Either way though, this gives you 3 very solid ways to get Insane 16 easily, whether you have max brawlers or not, or whether you're playing with randoms or not. You're definitely going to want to do this as soon as you possibly can, because there is a chance that Supercell is going to be patching these in a future update. Just don't tell them I told you how to do this. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more Brawl Stars content. Use code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop. And for now, guys, this is Kairos time ticking by. We will see you in Brawl Stars.